ETH is money, or ETH as money, right? Because whether it is or is not is kind of the thing that people are trying to talk about. So setting the context, there's a lot of consternation right now in the ecosystem about like how you value ETH as an asset, especially in the modular roadmap with L2s, a bunch of other stuff. And a lot of people recently are leaning on this thing called like moneyness of these assets. And money itself isn't really defined, but typically breaks down to three properties. It's store of value, medium of exchange, or unit of account. And people are trying to isolate and quantify the moneyness of Ethereum within the Ethereum ecosystem. So that's mainnet ETH and all of its L2s. So there's two basic positions of this. One is the first is ETH needs to burn or have deflation. Now, with that comes like usage of mainnet, or the L2 is paying back to mainnet to actually like use like with their user activity, and that this would be broadly categorized as like the ultrasound money camp. You may have heard this narrative, is where ETH is used so much, at least on mainnet or now through L2s, that the actual issuance of Ethereum was deflationary. Therefore, ultrasound money. It kind of comes from a meme from sound money, which was Bitcoin. Now, this camp believes L2 should be charged more because right now they offload a lot of user activity and they don't burn a lot of ETH, and they should reduce the amount of inflation that actually is happening from Ethereum mainnet. Now, Ethereum mainnet actually has a really low issuance rate. It's like 0.4% roughly relative, or over last year, relative to most other chains. I think Solana is around like 4%. Then you have Bitcoin, which is actually in that same neighborhood. So relative to all other chains, it's actually issuance is pretty low. But people are saying even lower, even further to a minimal viable issuance number. And there's some EIPs in place for that. And then the other side is actually, and this is for like Bankless, Saucil, Grow the Pie, they're actually building a dashboard for this. Their thing is that at the valuation that Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, that Ethereum has, right? Like if you look at raw burning of the asset, like it's nothing relative to the actual market cap, right? So like if you look at the highest single day from the last, I think it was, I just did the math on it, highest single day from the last year, and extrapolate that over full 365 days, right? You still are only burning like 0.008% of the supply relative to the market cap, right? So like it's basically nothing. So like if you're going to value it based on just like cash flows, is how you would say, it's like it's overvalued, wildly overvalued. Same thing with Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin does not have a whole lot of activity on mainnet, right? And because it doesn't have a lot of activity on mainnet, you can't look at it and say Bitcoin is worth X because it's burning Y, right? You just say Bitcoin is valuable because it is something that you want to hold, right? And therefore, it's a little bit of a medics. You have a lot of people that buy it, that hold it, number go up because of that. So the other camp, again, the bankless Saucils, whatever, they're trying to sit here and look at like how can we quantify the actual like usefulness of Ethereum within this ecosystem, this constellation of L2s. And that's the big debate. So it's like, okay, do we focus on the burn? Do we focus on just the usefulness of the asset, and which one is more value accretive to the actual asset itself? For myself, I am in the camp that you need to try to create a narrative around the moneyness stuff. I don't think it is yet. And I think that's why they're doing the dashboard stuff. It's still kind of messy, especially because money is so abstract. Like people know it, right? You have $1 in your hand, but like what makes them money is not something that's widely used. When you have something like Solana, it's just like increased bandwidth, lower latency. Like that's their roadmap. That's what you do. With Ethereum, oh, we want to be a better money. Like what are the technical deliverables for being a better money? Like no one fucking knows. Like there's no clear A, B, C, D to execute being better money. It's all kind of fluffy. And because of that, frankly, you just like there's not a lot of value accrual to an ETH asset right now. So that's the headwinds of the asset.
I love it. That's such an interesting breakdown. A little bit philosophical on like what exactly do we mean when we're talking about money here? What exactly is ETH striving towards? What direction is it going in? One of the things I guess is kind of pushback that I was mentioning to you before we started on the show, and maybe the direction of thinking that I'm going, which would be helpful for people to hear, is in my real life, and I've been saying this on the show for a while, the way I think about money in the real world, again, saying like this is all fake money and magic money, but the way I think about money in the real world is that the dollars, the pounds that I have, it's just gas fees. So I'm actually thinking about it backwards. Like my pounds in my bank account are just gas fees. I just need enough to get a coffee, to go to a restaurant, to get petrol, to do those little daily activities, but it's just gas. And so if ETH is money, and this is an unfortunate conclusion for me because I still hold a sizable amount of ETH. If ETH is money, then why do I need it? If it's just gas fees, don't I want to own the commodities? Don't I want to own a bit more Bitcoin? Don't I want to make a more leveraged bet on tech by betting on Solana, which is, we've spoken about this before. The metrics are outstanding. And yes, I already own Bitcoin. Yes, I already own Sol. But I just on the specific concept of what money is, and if ETH is money specifically, which look, I know it does other things as well. But if that's the narrative that we go for, and if that's the thing that it's most useful for, I don't know if I want to own it because I want to own the commodities and I only need enough to get by because that's how I view what money is. What's your thought on that, Brad?
What are you doing? Do you have any money in your bank account?
Yes.
Do you acquire more money or strictly to have more money? Or are you always exchanging, like, are you having a minimal amount of money in your bank account at all times, always swapping out for stocks or coins
minimal viable money? No, I do have, yeah, I mean, I have money in the bank account,
do
but
you endeavor to acquire more money?
I endeavored to acquire more Bitcoin. or
Now you
or
because it's safe.
I endeavored to acquire more assets which are worth more. So like, I don't know, well, after I got my airdrop from, where was it? What was the most recent one?
Either
Oh,
by Biden there.
Eigenlayer. Eigenlayer ended up being quite sizable for me because of the creator one. So I think there was 15 to 20 grand in that. I bought 2 Jack Butcher physicals from his most recent drop. As part of that, and then half of it I kept as money. Half of it I kept as money for tax, which is gas fees, and half of it I kept for to have some money as part of the thing. And then I acquired assets, which I think are already up in value and will be. That's how I'm thinking about it.
So I bring that up because, like, yes, like, so you're trying to acquire dollars, money, and then you try to acquire the thing on the other side of the money, right? And you use money as the medium of exchange, right? So like, if you, whether it's stocks, whether it's even Bitcoin, whether it's whatever, like, you acquire the thing, and then you want the secondary thing, which in some of my tweets I've talked about, like the hot state, right? So in this world, it's the hot state that we want access to because that's the thing that you think goes up higher. So like, you acquire, you're using real life real life examples, you acquire dollars to acquire stocks, right? You need dollars to acquire stocks. Problem that I think Ethereum is facing right now is because you don't always need Ethereum to acquire the natively issued thing, whether it's the meme coin, whether it's the whatever. Because right now, right, you want to acquire Quant, right? This little 14-year-old dude dunking on everyone with 20K. Like, you want to acquire that, and to acquire that, you need to hold Sol, right? So like, Sol is the money in this analogy, and like, because of that, people are acquiring a shit ton of Sol to acquire a shit ton of, like, the asset of issuance, like, or not the asset, it's asset of issuance, but the hot state on the chain, right? And this is meme coins, this is whatever, and because of that, Sol independently is going up. And we talked about pre-show, like, I personally don't want to acquire the stock. I don't want to acquire the meme coin. I don't want to acquire whatever, but I want to have a little bit of a broader index on you guys doing the degenerate shit. So I acquire Sol, right? It's like, it becomes this mimetic thing where, like, it snowballs up, and larger size people, because like, the people meme coining probably aren't buying enough Sol to move the price, but there are enough people that see the crazy meme coining doing the hot state access that acquire Sol, that drives Sol up relative to everything else. So I think, that's why when I push for the ETH needs to be money thing, it's mostly just that, like, you need to find a way to create really hot state that everyone needs to acquire ETH to access,